and welcome to Cover Story. We begin the new year with one of my favorite guests, in fact, one of the favorite faces on Cover Story. I have with me Mr. Madhav. He is the president of the India Foundation. He's also a member of the RSS Executive Committee and, of course, he's the BJP in charge of Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, last year was a very eventful year, Madhavji. We are going to be talking about the year ahead and also the year that went by. So, should we first look back and take a look at the year that went by, the elections in Jammu and Kashmir? How do you see last year?
Last year, globally, was considered the year of elections. In India also, we have had some very important elections, including the election to our Lok Sabha. Globally also, many countries have had their elections. In fact, the first election was in Bangladesh, if you recall. On 7th January 2024, elections to Bangladesh parliament happened and Sheikh Hasina got elected with I would call it a slightly less convincingly high margin, high majority she won. But right from then to year-end election of President Trump to US, in the US Congress elections, these elections somehow were not really too good for the incumbent governments. You know what happened in Bangladesh, we all know. In our neighborhood, Sri Lanka went to polls. All the traditional known big parties were rejected and a new party came to power. Even in India, the government of the day, Prime Minister Modi's government, won the election but could not secure full majority. Then, of course, there is an alliance government here. Trump upset the liberal or Democrat aspirations to come back, and he made a very grand comeback in that election. Luckily for us in India, post the parliament election, BJP under Prime Minister Modi could make a very quick comeback. The setbacks it faced at the time of the parliament elections, it could overcome them very quickly in the subsequent state elections. That includes, of course, that big victory in Maharashtra, equally strong victory, significant victory in Haryana, and then the performance in the elections in Jammu and Kashmir.
Right.
All three indicated that the BJP was able to overcome that setback in the parliament elections and it bounced back. Jammu Kashmir elections results were certainly very heartening for the BJP because, firstly, BJP has emerged as the largest party in terms of vote share in the state, securing more than 26% popular vote. Okay. Secondly, secured highest number of seats, 29 seats in history for the first time. It's another matter. At the end of the day, for Omar Abdullah, his party, National Conference, managed to form the government.
It was a divisive verdict. Kashmir voted one way, Jammu voted one way. So how do you see that verdict as a statement on 370 and the BJP's policies in the valley?
It happened last time also, if you recall. In the 2014 elections to Jammu Kashmir Assembly, that time also, trend was more or less the same. Valley voted majorly for PDP. Jammu voted majorly for BJP. But at the time, no party could really secure enough numbers to form the government. As a result, the two parties had to come together. This time also, the trend continued. Jammu stood with the national mood. Valley stood with the regional mood. They voted for the regional incumbent. This time, not PDP, but National Conference. Jammu stood by the BJP as it did in 2014. So it's not any new phenomena, and nor do I call it a divisive mandate. If it is a divided mandate, then it is as much divided for NC also. When NC could not get a single seat in Jammu.
No, fair enough. But in fact, I want to now also look ahead, apart from the elections over there. How do you see, you said the BJP made a very quick comeback after the Lok Sabha, but a lot of people are saying the Haryana and Maharashtra results were not so much or a mandate for Prime Minister Modi as it is for the local leadership, as it is even for the RSS, which, pulled its weight and started working. And also, you haven't mentioned anything about the RSS BJP face-off that happened just before the Lok Sabha.
No, firstly, no election is won on any one agenda item. First of all, we must remember. There will be multiple factors And in all our victories, one very important factor has been Prime Minister Modi's popularity. We are in the thick of the elections. We know what happens at the grassroots level. Modi's huge popularity is a big strength for BJP in any election. But together with that come the other factors that you mentioned, like the party's its own organizational strength, which over the years got considerably strengthened, considerably reached right up to booth level. Then, thirdly, of course, the support that we always get from the Parivar. So, to say that these elections do not represent any victory to one factor, but only to other factor, is not the right analysis of the outcome. All factors are important for us. All factors play a very important role in all election outcomes. This election that you mentioned, whether it is Maharashtra or Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, I was directly involved. I have seen it on the ground. The popularity of Prime Minister is an important factor in our securing those many seats. And I must tell you, we managed to get good vote percentage even in Kashmir. In fact, in one seat, we lost just by 1,000 votes in Kashmir. I mean, definitely you can't attribute to RSS. In Kashmir, it is something else. There it was Prime Minister, his programs, his popularity. In another South Kashmir seat, which is stronghold of the militants and all, Sofian seat, our candidate got 7,000 votes. I mean, which is not a small number in Kashmir.
Have you gone back post the elections? Are you?
Once I had the chance to go to Kashmir, but otherwise, I mean, I keep meeting with the guys there.
And what is the feedback? Is your cadre disheartened? Are they, because now it's, it's again the vote has been more in favor of regional parties. So what is the feedback on ground?
Generally, elections are a different game. At that time, people choose parties based on number of other priorities, other preferences. But today, generally, the mood in the valley is very positive. In fact, Prime Minister is going to go in a few days from now to Kashmir again, and he is going to inaugurate a very important tunnel. Jadmore tunnel it is called. That tunnel is going to connect Srinagar with Sonmarg, which used to be shut, which route used to be shut during winter months. Today, because of the tunnel, that route will be open 24/7. And in fact, now Srinagar to Ladakh, Leh, journey is going to be much more comfortable. No roadblocks and anything now. So it is going to transform the rural hinterland of Kashmir Valley also now. So there is generally a sense of utter satisfaction, happiness that under this government in Delhi, lot of development is happening in the state.
And statehood?
Oh, so that issue, see, many people miss the point that Jammu and Kashmir is not the same Jammu and Kashmir that we used to have before 2019. It's a new UT because state was, the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir state was bifurcated into two UTs. Now, one UT needs to get statehood status afresh. Many times people say it has to get again, not again, afresh, because it is a new UT.
Okay.
And the process involves Parliament of India. The Parliament of India, of course, led by the cabinet, the government, will take an appropriate decision on when to grant statehood. But commitment remains. Both Prime Minister and Home Minister both have said that statehood will be granted.
So you think 25 may be the year they get the statehood afresh?
Oh, so as I said, I don't want to make predictions about it, but there is a clear-cut promise given to the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Okay. Now, looking ahead, you wrote, I read your weekly columns in Indian Express very carefully. In fact, we get a lot of ideas also from there for columns. You written something about the year of the economy. So, can you explain what you wrote?
I somehow strongly feel that in the given global situation, a huge opportunity is knocking at the doors of our country. We have to seize that opportunity. That opportunity is economic. Like today, because of whatever is happening between China and the US, China and certain Western powers, there is scouting happening for countries that can become the destinations for investment. India has to focus on economy for next few years so that we benefit from this prevailing situation, prevailing opportunity we seize and grow exponentially very fast. In fact, I mentioned in that article also that if you see the history of different countries that have risen economically, whether it is the US, it is China, or any country you take, Japan you take, they seized the opportunity that came because of certain historical reasons. Like in US, that great deal years of 1933 to 1945, Second World War years, FDR's great deal opportunity. In 12 years, transformed America into a prosperous country. In China, Deng Xiaoping's pragmatism, openness, converted that country into a semi-capitalist country, and they, in 20 years, between 1980 and 1995, 15 years, it grew very fast. So that 10-year window is now for India. And you have a leader who has that vision, who is constantly telling people that to focus on economy. So we have to do that for next 10 years. Maybe if we do that and ready to keep other domestic issues on the back burner for some time, India has a great opportunity.
I agree with you, but look at the way we are going economically. All this promise of freebies, election after election, and it's not, we saw what happened in Maharashtra, now Delhi, again, the same thing is coming. Each party is competing with the other. How does that bode for the economy?
Look, welfareism is accepted as a part of even capitalist economy in 1960s itself in America. When the New Deal was New Deal was initially by Roosevelt, who was a liberal leader. When it was to be accepted by conservatives, they accepted. They did not say that no, workers' rights and all is not the issue. We have to only look for profits. No, they didn't say that.
Balance.
So how do you ensure that you also take care of certain people-friendly economic measures, but also at the same time they do not become sort of doles to people.
Correct.
The word you used, freebies, revenues, it doesn't become that way. Therein lies a challenge today. Competitive politics is actually encouraging each party to do that. But somewhere we have to think seriously how far and no further.
Exactly. So are you hopeful that this budget would be a reformist one? What kind of a budget are we looking at?
I mean, I'm not an economist, nor can I get any insights into what is going on in budget making. But generally speaking, if you see Prime Minister's repeated assertions, it appears that it will be very forward-looking budget. Prime Minister is now, in fact, a huge allocation happened for R&D. 1 lakh crores has been allocated for propelling R&D activity in India, research and development activity in India. Prime Minister is talking about frontier technologies, genome technologies, quantum computing and all those things. Hopefully, we will be looking towards these things, which are going to be the defining things for economies in all these countries. I must tell you, future is not just about trade-based GDP. It's going to be technology-based. You need to master technologies in order for you to be in the front lines of global economy. So we have to master technologies in our country. Technologies, when I say, not those old technologies, the frontier ones, semiconductors, quantum computing, genome technologies, artificial intelligence. These are the areas. That's why government is now looking at investing heavily into those areas. Clean tech.
Okay. I know clean tech is something we've been hearing about, but let's see if where we go with that. But I'm going to also take a break and come back, and I want to talk to you about a bit about the global situation, with Trump coming in. What is India's place in the world? Again, I've seen you write about Modi's vision of India's place in the world in the foreign policy. So something on that after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to Cover Story. We're in conversation with Ram Madhav. We've been talking about the year that went by, but now looking ahead, talking about, Donald Trump is back, as you said. You've seen his statements, talking about Greenland, talking about Canada. How do you see that, and how do you see India's relationship with him in Trump too?
Many people have a lot of apprehensions about what will happen after 20th January.
Yes.
Once Trump is formally installed as the president. But I think Trump is, for all the sound and fury that you hear through his Twitter accounts and all that, he's certainly a pragmatic kind of leader. He's
You're saying that today after his Greenland, after Canada.
people say that he's a transactional leader. So we have to wait and see how he handles these things. I mean, many things are said, many things are talked about until you are in that chair. Once there, how you respond to situations is something we have to see. I mean, one characteristic of Trump is it's very difficult. He is very difficult to predict. You can't predict him. But having said it, as far as we are concerned, generally India-US relations historically have been, there is a bipartisan consensus that this should be an important relationship. Both sides, whether it is Democrats or Republicans, appreciate it. I'm sure Trump also appreciates the importance of this relationship. Secondly, one advantage we have is that our Prime Minister generally enjoys good personal rapport with many leaders, that includes President Trump also. So that also might be certainly of some help to us. See, there are only two areas where India probably should have some concerns. That is, one is tariffs area.
Yes.
About which Trump has made several statements. But what actually he will do at the end of the day, we have to see. Second area is H-1B visas. But on both the things, for example, if you see Elon Musk's statement, Musk was repeatedly saying, no, we need talent pool, we have to get talent from elsewhere. Where elsewhere? It's India. Talent is with India. So on all these issues, once on that hot seat, probably the thinking will be different in White House, in Trump's internal, whatever system they will have. But in any case, we will cross the bridge when we reach.
You talked about his great relationship between the two leaders, Modi and Trump, but yet there is no invitation for Trump swearing in. Is that an issue? Is that something that should worry India?
Tell me one president inauguration in American history where leaders of any other country were invited. There's no such tradition, yeah. Where is this whole story coming from? I mean, some guy creates a story and you start asking questions on that. It's not the practice there. So nobody has deviated from that practice. See, we also never had any such practice in the past. Prime Minister Modi introduced a new practice in 2014. We are continuing with that. But no such thing happened with Trump in 2017.
But are you not worried about what he's saying about Greenland, what he's saying about Canada? I mean, there seems to be, he is known as a disruptor also.
That's why I said there are apprehensions about what his presidency would mean. Would it be a greater destabilizing factor in the world, which is already destabilized in many ways? There are lots of issues that are creating instability in especially in the Western world, in the European part of the world and in the Middle East. But will Trump's presidency will be another destabilizing factor in that? Is something for us to wait and watch, wait and see. See, you are saying about, you are talking about Canada and Greenland. Equally worried are the Chinese. What will be his stand, or what will be his Secretary of State's stand? Marco Rubio is known to be a hawk when it comes to China. So what will be his stand when it comes to China-US relations? So many questions are there. I'm not denying. I'm not saying they're not there. But we only have to wait and see. As I said, you can't predict a leader who is quite unpredictable.
But what about the charge against NSA, Doval? What are the equations in India and the US when our NSA can't travel to the US?
No, that actually was a very, very silly charge and very unfortunate that the system there had to go to that extent to spread that kind of a news that even he was complicit in something wrong. But then you probably would have seen what Jake Sullivan had said here 3 days ago when he addressed the students of IIT Delhi. He put so much praise on NSA Doval. He said, one man, if any credit should be given on India's side to one person, it must be Doval. This is what he said. I mean, on the one hand, they tried to create a perception about him some months ago. But today, the same leadership, I'm not talking about the Trump's leadership, I'm talking about the same leadership, was heaping a lot of praise on him.
But the court thing still stands. It's still.
We will see that those things they will handle, people concerned will handle.
So how do you see the change in Canada? Is something, you know, a lot of people on, especially on social media, there is a lot of talk about karma and, you know, justice being done as far as India is concerned.
Oh, firstly, the way Mr. Trudeau conducted himself last year with respect to this whole tamasha about Khalistanis and all was unbecoming of his stature as Prime Minister of that country. Coming on the media and directly pointing fingers at India's respectable ministers, respectable officials, was highly unbecoming of it. I can understand some spokesperson saying something, keeping a deniability factor. You know, these were all charges without any shred of evidence. Such allegations sometimes may come out, but they come out at the lowest level. Then you keep the deniability factor. No, that's wrong view. But here the topmost man was making such silly kind of allegations. So that was a very unfortunate phase in our relations. But, you know, internal politics in Canada caught up with Trudeau today, and he is the most unpopular leader. Under his leadership, his party's popularity has plummeted to so low that nobody in that party is now confident of having any respectable win also. I mean, forget about forming the government. Respectable numbers also they are not expecting. So now he's escaping probably. He's quietly escaping from the race and making somebody else the scapegoat.
So finally, how do you see India's place in the world according to Prime Minister Modi? How is, you know, especially place in the neighborhood? You know, we still have Sri Lanka tilting towards China, Nepal tilting towards China, Bhutan not tilting towards India. How do you see India's place?
In the neighborhood, we always have some sort of a competition for influence between our two countries. It's not a secret. We all know about it. And, you know, when regimes change, regimes have their own priorities, but that doesn't mean they are unfriendly with India. You talked about Sri Lanka. You know, Sri Lanka's president was here last month in December. You must have seen his statements, which he made here. They were quite reassuring. He was very categorical that nothing would be done that would impact the interests of India. He was very categorical. So, when we say two things about neighbors, we say first is neighborhood first. We attach a lot of importance to our relations with the neighborhood. But we also say we should grow together. Meaning, whatever you do for your country to grow, develop, that should help me. That should not create any problems to me. When I grow, my rise should help you. So our neighbors understand that while they have choices today, as I said, there is competition in the region. We don't stop anybody from looking for other options for their development. But while doing that, we only expect that they keep in mind that India, as their immediate neighbor, most trusted friend in the region, its interests also should be kept in mind.
So the tilt towards China does not worry you?
See, that's why I said, when regimes change, certain things happen. I mean, some people may be looking at support from another country probably more than the previous regime. These things happen. But just because some government is seeking some support from another country, one need not conclude that they are against India.
Okay, but finally, you know, this is also the 100 years of RSS this year. So how do you see RSS place in India?
RSS is today the most respected organization in the country, and most importantly, one very interesting feature of RSS is, actually, honestly speaking, there are very few organizations, non-governmental organizations, non-political organizations in the world which have survived for 100 years. And this is one organization which not only survived, it's growing at 100. Today, the RSS has got more than 75,000 shakhas. They have a spread of 120,000 villages and lakhs of. So it's a vast and regular, continuously growing organization, playing a very important role in India's national life. Huge respect it commands from the people.
Political life?
Also, RSS is essentially a socio-cultural organization.
On paper.
RSS members, no, actually, RSS activity per se is socio-cultural in nature. Now, society also involves politics. Politics is not outside of society. When I am working in socio-cultural area also, some element of politics is a part of it. To that extent, some people handle politics. We are all in political field. Prime Minister Modi is an RSS trained person. So are many others. They handle that political dimension of it. But main RSS activity is focused on social and cultural life of our country.
So the next BJP president is not a concern in the RSS calendar?
It's not a concern per se, because those who will be deciding about that are also RSS. RSS, when you say, it's just organizational people. When you talk about people, they are also RSS. They consult. They talk to the RSS leadership and take the right decision. So not concern, definitely consultation at an appropriate level.
On that note, if you were you write columns and all, so if you wear the editor's hat, if you asked you to give you a headline for the year that is 2025, what would your headline be?
I have done it in my year beginning column. I quote from that American 1992 election famous quote, it is economy stupid. Focus on economy. My view is what Prime Minister has been repeatedly saying. We have to build a strong economy for India, without which all your great wisdom, all your great ancient knowledge and all will not be respected unless you are a strong economy, strong technology, strong country. So maybe we should focus on that in the coming few years.
On that note, thank you so much for speaking to us, and we wish you and our viewers a very Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.